Hello learner, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another topic of your second module of your course. Course code is BESC 131 and course title is Education, Concept, Nature and Perspectives. In the second module, 3 video lessons are there and today's topic is to discuss scope of education from the viewpoint of major focus of the study of knowledge. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar De, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University, welcome you all to this video lesson. Now, let us focus upon some of the learning outcomes of today's lesson. The first learning outcome is you will be able to classify education from the viewpoint of major focus of the study of knowledge, and further you will be able to differentiate among liberal, professional and vocational and technical education as a scope of education from the viewpoint of major focus of the study of knowledge. So, friends, here when we are talking about major focus of the study of knowledge, it means we are focusing upon liberal education, we are focusing upon professional education, then vocational and technical education. You see, in our education system, we practice these 3 types of education: liberal education, professional education, vocational and technical education. And our major attempt will be to understand the very concept of the liberal practice of education, then professional practice of education and vocational and technical practice of education. And we will try to understand that how we can differentiate so far as the concept of these 3 types of education is concerned, so far as study of knowledge is concerned. Let us go forward. I have already said that there are classifications of the scope of education as per you can say the study of knowledge, as per learning environment and as per different mode of education. And today's focus is on study of knowledge. 3 under the study of knowledge, under the focus of the study of knowledge, 3 types of educations are there: liberal, second is the professional and third is the vocational and technical education. So, now let us come forward to understand the very concept of the first concept, that is the liberal education. Friends, you know the educational programs, the courses, the syllabi that we follow in our formal education system. Particularly, if I will talk about your school education, compulsory school education, then when I talk about your higher education system, or you can say particularly the 3 year of bachelor's degree, then for the 2 year of master degree, you will find that many liberal discipline, many liberal subject that we practice in our graduation and post graduation level. Just like I can take the example of, let you are studying your BA General program. I am just giving your program. You are doing you are pursuing your graduation program, that is BAG, BA General program, as per the choice based credit system of UGC. In BA program, what you are doing, you are choosing 2 subjects. Okay, I am talking about, I am coordinating the subject of education. If you have selected education as a subject, then you are studying education as a subject in your BA General program. At the same time, you are also studying another subject. You have to study 2 subjects. Let you are studying education with economics, okay, or education with any language subjects, you can say. So, here I can give the example that here education is a liberal subject, is a discipline oriented knowledge based subject, and further I can also give the example of let it is sociology, let it is economics, history, political science and different languages, maybe English literature, maybe Hindi. So, these are the liberal discipline or the liberal subject. So, that is why so far as the body of knowledge is concerned, the study of knowledge is concerned, we can classify the scope of education into three types. First is the liberal education. Liberal education is to make the person free from particular set of constraint. You see, in liberal education, the knowledge discourses that are included in every discipline, you can say. It may be education, it may be sociology, it may be political science, it may be economics. So, first of all, you will undergo with different knowledge structure, different theories, different concept. At the same time, how to practice, how to use those theories and those concepts, those principles. So, that is why it liberates the individual. It makes the individual free to think. It makes the individual to understand the very concept of the knowledge, very concept of a particular discipline, and the theorization of that discipline, and further how to practice that discipline so far as creating new knowledge is concerned. So, that is why we can say that liberal education is to make the person free from particular set of constraint, that here it will make your mind free, it will make you free for a free thought and to do certain action or to create certain new knowledge. Liberal education or the liberal discipline provides you such opportunity to develop certain new concept, to develop certain new knowledge. Further, liberal education is an intellectual pursuit which makes the individual liberal in his or her thinking, doing and activities. I have already said that it will make you liberal, it will make you free, it will provide you freedom so far as the very principle of democracy is concerned about free thinking and doing certain things of their own, at the same time to involve yourself in different types of activities and different types of things by doing the things. Okay. So, it comes under the purview of the liberal education. Then further we can say the broader objective of liberal education is to acquisition and utilization of knowledge with a broader perspective, creation of new knowledge, bringing knowledge in the existing knowledge structure and practices. So, friends, there are the existing knowledge structure. So, what you are doing when you are pursuing a program, particularly a liberal program, a liberal study, it makes you empower to understand the existing knowledge, at the same time to by using that existing knowledge how to create new knowledge, how to practice the existing knowledge structure. So, it empower the person for living their life and at the same time to do certain innovative work for the development of the society and for the development of the individual in particular and society at a large. For the liberal education is to create and cultivate human mind for the greater intellectual purpose. So, here it feeds the individual mind, it cultivates the individual mind for greater intellectual purpose, for developing a thought process, for developing intellect among the individual, so that the individual will do certain new work for the society. Further, we can say liberal education is not confined to the area of humanities and art education, but it extends to other areas of human knowledge and practices. So, friends, I am not giving only the example of the subjects and disciplines that are included in art or the humanity based subject. Rather, it extends the horizon of liberal education is very vast. Okay. It caters the discipline of science, it caters the discipline of social science, it caters the discipline of humanities, it caters the discipline of commerce and management. So, that is why, friend, the purview of liberal education is really very vast. Further, education as a liberal discipline focuses on broader dimensions of education as an area of knowledge. Let me to give example. Many a time it creates a little confusion in the mind of the scholar, in the mind of the learners, that whether education is a discipline. Yes, education is a discipline. Yes, education is a liberal discipline. At the same time, education is also a practice discipline. Okay. If I will give the example of teacher education, means through different teacher education program, you are just making yourself fit, you are just preparing yourself to be a teacher. That is the matter of a professional branch, you can say, just like teacher education, but at the same time education is also broadly practiced as a liberal discipline. Just like you are pursuing education as a discipline or subject in your graduation program, further you can also do a master program in education, you can also do a type of research in education, you can pursue your PhD program in education. Okay, so that's why here the broad umbrella of education is very vast. It caters different types of educational discourses, educational knowledge. Okay, so that's why education as a liberal discipline, it focuses upon the broader dimensions of education, maybe guidance and counseling, maybe different perspectives of education, maybe philosophical perspective, maybe historical perspective, intellectual perspective, maybe sociological perspective of education, maybe psychological perspective of education, and it also caters different areas of knowledge relating to information and communication technology, relating to lifelong learning, relating to school management and administration, relating to educational technology, relating to educational evaluation. So, really if I will give the example, then the area of the discipline or the liberal discipline of education is very vast. And further I can say, as a liberal discipline, education is taught in the colleges and universities to make students understand the body of knowledge of education, its theoretical, historical and intellectual perspectives. Okay. So, this subject is studied not only in the higher education system, but this subject liberal subject of education is also being studied at the school education stage, particularly at the senior secondary stage. Okay. In the senior secondary stage, you can also study education as a subject. In many states, in many higher secondary board in different states, they practice education as a discipline. Even if the NIUS, National Institute for Open Schooling, NIUS also practices education as a discipline at the higher secondary or at the senior secondary level. So, friends, liberal education just liberates you. Liberal education just provide you freedom. Liberal education just make you free for developing your own thought process, make you free for creating certain knowledge from your own understanding. So, that is why the scope of liberal education is very vast. It includes different subjects, different discipline in different streams of knowledge, different you can say areas of knowledge. Further now, let us try to understand the second study of knowledge, that is called as the professional education. Okay. So, let us try to understand the concept of professional education and how it is different from liberal education, and what are the different programs, what are the different courses that are included under the professional education branch. First of all, let us try to understand a profession. A profession comprises a specified body of knowledge, skills and attitude. Here, when I am focusing upon a profession, it includes not only the knowledge structure, not only the theoretical aspect, rather the skills and competencies, the required skills and competencies for practicing a profession is important, and a type of positive professional attitude is also required, so that dedicatedly you can practice a discipline, dedicatedly you can practice a profession. Further, we can say a profession requires continuous updating in the knowledge base and in service practical training of the members. So, try to understand a profession. You cannot say that there is no change in a profession. If you are practicing a profession after certain training, after acquiring certain skills and competencies by pursuing formal education or non-formal education, there is the scope that at every time you can update your knowledge. So, as you know that education is a continuous process. It may be for liberal education or it may be for professional education. There is enough opportunity, there is enough scope that you can continuously update your knowledge, your understanding, your skill so far as science and development of technology is concerned. You will find that we are using new concept, we are using new theories, we are using new technology in teaching learning process, at the same time in other aspect of our life. So, keeping in consideration of this in different profession, if you will compare the profession, the concept of a profession before 2 decades and the concept of a profession, the same profession today, you will find that how things have been changed. So, that is why in a profession the knowledge are continuously updating, and as a professional you have to update yourself so far as your profession is concerned. And further we can say a profession expects its members to be guided by a code of ethics and professional values. So, friends, when I talk about professional education or practicing a professional, it has a definite code of ethics. It has certain professional values. It may be teacher education. As a teacher, you have certain ethical values. You have certain professional ethics. You have to follow that. You have to practice that. Being a lawyer, being a management professional, being a IT professional, you have certain ethics. Okay? Being a medical practitioner, you have certain ethics in your life. So, the professional values and ethics are inclined with, are integrated with the professional education system. And further, a profession ensures that its members grow in their professional career. A profession enables a professional to make him or her own judgment in relation to appropriate practices. A professional always try to practice the things, do the things, create the changes and make others practice the same profession and to make others practice the skills and competencies. Professional education is basically related to various aspects of social service. Friends, when I am giving the example of social service, it may be related to health and hygiene, it may be related to education, it may be related to right of education, it may be related to you can say other services in the society. So, you can say that these are one profession. You are just getting a training of it, you are acquiring certain skills and competencies, and further you are practicing that profession. Professional education makes an individual the first and foremost to earn his or her livelihood. Professional education also enables the individual for earning the bread and butter, for fulfilling the goal of life, the aim of life, the immediate aim of life to you can say earn bread and butter or livelihood for their living. It may be teacher education, it may be engineering, it may be medical, it may be other types of vocational education also. So, when you talk about a profession, that profession enable us, that profession help us for developing or for earning our livelihood. And further we can say professional education fulfills both the requirements such as it makes a person to serve the nation, and at the same time it also makes the person self-sufficient for his or her livelihood. So, two types of aims are there. The first aim is to serve the nation, to develop the society, bring changes in the society, bring changes in the national life, bring changes in the country and bring changes in the global scenario of this world also. And at the same time, the priority or the immediate aim of any professional education that it makes the individual, it makes the person self-sufficient for earning his or her livelihood. Further, let me to give certain example, just like teacher education. If you are pursuing a teacher education program after pursuing your BAG program, BA General program, you can pursue a type of teacher education program, maybe Bachelor of Education, maybe Diploma in Elementary Education, or maybe other teacher education programs. And after completing the teacher education program, you can be a teacher. You can make yourself self-sufficient. You are able to earn your livelihood. Further, management is also another example of the professional education. Law is an example of professional education. these professions will help you to acquire knowledge, to acquire skill in the particular area, competencies in the particular area, at the same time to develop your livelihood and to bring changes in the society, bring changes in the country, and to contribute globally for the development of the whole universe. Further now, let us try to understand another professional education branch, that is, we can say vocational and technical education, and we will also try to understand that how vocational and technical education is different from professional education and at the same time from liberal education. First of all, let me to say, it may be the example of liberal education, it may be the example of professional education or vocational and technical education. In all types of education, so far as the study of knowledge is concerned, you will find that definitely you acquire, you will understand the knowledge structure of that profession, knowledge structure of that vocation and technical education. At the same time, you have to practice it. Though liberal education is mostly based upon, or it provides a dedicated knowledge base, dedicated theorization of the knowledge of from that discipline, but when I talk about professional education, then vocational and technical education, it goes beyond that. With theorization, it also practices that theory for the psychomotor development of the individual, for the development of motor skill of the individual, for development of the skills and competencies of the individual. By doing certain activities, how to create new things, and further how to make that profession, that vocation as career of an individual. Vocational education is a branch of knowledge that prepares to learn and practice a vocation or an occupation. It is very much popular in the era of industrialization. In the era of industrialization, there was the need of different vocation, different job, different areas of vocation. So that's why you will find that many short-term and long-term courses and programs that got developed for providing training to the people. They will participate in the process of industrialization and they will create certain good for the society, for the utilization of the society. Further, it is a parallel discipline one can practice after higher secondary education. So friends, after school education, after the higher secondary education, one can pursue a liberal discipline in the higher education system, and at the same time one can also pursue a type of vocational education and technical education in different you can say vocational institutions at the district level and state level are concerned. In India, the concept of vocational education is very old. If I will give example, it was initially recommended in 1854 by the Woods Despatch during the British rule in India, during the British education system, which suggested for introducing pre-vocational education at the secondary stage. Further, the Calcutta University Commission during the British rule also recommended for establishing intermediate colleges not only in arts and science but also in medicine and engineering as vocational branch, as technical branch, for providing training to the individual, training to the people relating to a particular vocation and relating to certain technical education. And further, Wardha scheme of education, that is called as the basic education in 1937 by Mahatma Gandhi, it also emphasized the importance of craft centered education, which is also a part of vocational education. Then the Secondary Education Commission in the independent India in 1950-53 recommended diversified streams in a higher secondary school such as commerce subjects, agriculture, fine arts and other subjects also. Further, the Education Commission 1964-66 recommended work experience and vocationalization as part of secondary education. Then the National Policy on Education 1986 And further, the recent development, that is National Education Policy 2020, have also prioritized vocational and technical education for national development. National Institute of Open Schooling at the school stage and Indira Gandhi National Open University at the higher education level have also contributed a lot for the development of vocational and technical education. Now, let me to give certain areas of vocational and technical education. Just like if I will give the example of agriculture as an area of vocational and technical education, you will find that different nature of vocational and technical education programs are there. Just like poultry farming, dairying, sericulture, floriculture, etc. And if I will give the example of engineering and technology, different nature of vocational and technical education program, just like mechanical services, audio visual technician, computer technique, then sugar technology, etc. I am just giving certain example. Now, you can also extend it. Then health and pharmaceutical, different nature of vocational and technical education under health and pharmaceutical area of vocational and technical education are just like health worker. This is one training, one education. One can educate in this area and also practice that vocation for their living their life. Then X-ray technician, then pharmacist, auxiliary nurse and midwives, primary health workers, etc. Further, if I will give the example of home science as an area of vocational and technical education, it includes different nature of vocation and technical education, just like food preservation, interior design, child care and nutrition, knitting technology, preschool and crèche management. So, these are also certain vocation that come under the discipline, under the area of home science. And further, if I will give the example of science and humanities, definitely it includes with the liberal discipline, it also includes library and information science, photography, commercial art, Indian music, classical dance, etc. So, friends, today we discussed, just to recapitulate, we discussed the scope of education so far as different study of knowledge is concerned. We discussed liberal education, its scope, its concept and its practices, the knowledge base that we get by pursuing a liberal discipline. Further, we discussed about the professional education, just like teacher education program, management program, law and other types of profession is concerned. And further, we also discussed about the another study of knowledge so far as scope of education is concerned, that is vocational and technical education. We discussed that what are the different types of vocation, different types of technical education that one can practice, and all these come under the scope of education. I am very much sure that this video lesson will help you to understand the scope of education so far the study of knowledge is concerned, and further you can just deliberate it in different occasions, and it will help you a lot for pursuing your course in BAG program. Thank you.